Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It's a daily live extra on a Friday ahead of a clear weekend.
Yes, so
a nice clear
press
weekend.
Conference is tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I won't be up for that. 9:30 in the morning. Behave yourself. That's a tester. That's a test to see who actually wants to be there.
You reckon?
Yeah, that's what it is. To separate the wheat from the chaff. That.
Not to do with perhaps something happens today.
Nah, okay. Not having that. Not falling for those conspiracy theories. We seem to talk about it every day, but listen, if there's something to talk about every day, what can we do? Paul Brown on Twitter, who's been part of unearthing what is happening with
investigative journalism.
Yes, with Philip.
Give it its due respect.
With Philip O'Clair at Josimar. He has put a tweet out earlier this morning saying, understand 777 and Mashiri received new questions yesterday from the Premier League re Miami firm's ability to fund the purchase of Everton. Richard Masters suggested to the DCMS that without satisfactory answers, the approval process takes a little longer. And then he wants you all to go over to Josimar. So what's going on, John?
His tweet says more to follow, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or MTF, assuming MTF means more to follow, but the follow hasn't happened yet. Well, I'm a subscriber and I've not.
There is an article out, came out about half an hour ago. But that's slightly different.
It's like a summary, isn't it?
That's where the money's coming from. I don't know if the two things are related, but what's your thoughts on this?
On which
on the original tweet on about the Premier League?
Well, I don't know because nobody knows, right? So the article should tell us, I suppose. But what Paul's saying is that Mashiri and 777, or the other way around, same difference, isn't it? Have more questions. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what questions the Premier League would be asking Farhad Mashiri in the sense of someone's buying his shares, other than yes, I believe they're going to give me the money. Yeah, you know what I mean. And maybe there are questions for 777, but I tend to think, why are they asking questions?
Yeah.
Because we don't necessarily know what the questions are and why are they asking questions. And I saw that this morning, and then when I was on my way here, I was thinking, oh, well, I've done lots of deals, right? And often, not like all the time, when you're expecting an answer, a decision, you know, your mailbox goes ping, you know, and your prospective client has sent you an email and you think, hey, they're going to tell us now. And it's another question. Yeah. Right. So there's two reasons why you might ask questions if you're the Premier League. One is because you want to kick the can down the road. Yeah. Because quite clearly, and we spoke to 777 earlier this week, and they've been given a steer by the Premier League that they can expect an answer mid to late February. So we're in the last 2 weeks of that, aren't we? Right? So they're trying to get their act together, aren't they, the Premier League, to satisfy that timetable, if indeed that timetable it turns out to be true, because many people are saying, no, it's not happening anytime soon. And hanging your hat on what Richard Masters said at a select committee where he clearly told a number of untruths is a bit dangerous, I think. But if you wanted a sunny day answer, you know, a positive answer, not positive for anyone who wants to know what the outcome is. In other words, not positive for people who don't want 777 and positive for people, but just about the process. Then the process results in the last, if you like, shaking of the process is when the Premier League's independent oversight panel review the decision. Yeah. Okay. So Premier League make a decision. Right, yes, or right, no. Presumably they, in both, well, maybe they don't necessarily have to have an answer for why they've said yes, but they most certainly would have to have an answer as to why they said no. And then they send it off to this independent oversight panel, which has 7 days to review it and see whether it's followed the process, whether it satisfies scrutiny, all those sorts of things. And then that's when the rest of us will find out what the result is. So I suppose it's not a stretch if the Premier League are saying that the decision, if they're telling 777 this, that the decision will be known to you between mid and late February, that sometime soon their decision will go to the independent oversight panel. Now, if the independent oversight panel then reviewed the decision and wanted to ask a question, that's what they would do. And if they asked that question, they would ask it of the Premier League. And if the Premier League didn't know the answer, they would ask the entity who they think is best positioned to give them the answer, which I guess in this case, if this is what I'm making up, could be 777. So in other words, a view that says, and they're still getting asked questions. You can go down a negative perspective that is related to what Masters said, which is they're not answering questions. Or you could go a positive route and saying it's in the last throes of making a decision and there's a few I's to be dotted and a few T's to be crossed, and they've been asked a question, can you just clarify this? Can you just clarify that? That might actually explain why perhaps some of the questions are going to Mashiri. You know, maybe the oversight people think that the Premier League should know that he's confident that he's going to get his money, and how is he going to get it, and those sorts of things. And as we've debated on this channel before now, if part of what we expect to happen here is for 777 to convert their loans to Everton Football Club into equity, and for Farhad Mashiri to write off the debt that the club has to him, just maybe somebody might ask a question as to how's that going to work then?
Yeah.
You know, and clearly you would think that as far as where the funding's coming from and those sorts of things are concerned, then there shouldn't be many questions because, of course, as we understand it, the FCA have already said everything is fine, as have indeed the FA. So that's all. We don't know. Paul has done a teaser. It'll point to Josimar, I guess, when the article goes on Josimar, and we'll see what it says. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Paul's put another... As I said, he put another tweet out about half an hour ago with a new article, which he's...
That's the one you just talked about, yeah?
New document confirms source of loans for Everton deal and reveals fresh details behind takeover.
But doesn't that document reference the guy at the insurance company who's suing 777?
Yeah, it does, yeah. It
doesn't that make it sound like old news?
Yeah, I suppose, but... Yeah, I mean, don't people who know each other sue each other anyway in America? Isn't that like...
Well, it's a very...
isn't that a bit... It's a bit more like...
It's a litigation-rich environment, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so...
But that's not going to court yet, has it? I don't think. No. So.
But it just... Paddy Boylan's done an article today as well, and he's, spoken about, I think, more...
On The Athletic, yeah.
Yeah, more
I've not read it, but I saw it.
Yeah, more about... He's talking about more that it's the fault of the Premier League, kicking the can down the road, which is a phrase I've heard more. I think I've heard that phrase more in the last couple of weeks than I've ever heard in my life. So I feel like, the wagons are circling now, aren't they? But we are slowly getting closer to an answer, but it does really feel like this has been massively dragged out.
Oh gosh, was it 5-6 months now?
Yeah. Well, yeah, September. Was it September?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, none of this really. I mean, Paul's got a job to do. I'm no issue with Paul.
Well, it's like him being Paul and Alan had Alan Myers, didn't they? Had a little bit of banging of heads, right? And Alan said something, I'm sure Paul would say the same. I'm just reporting what I get.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean,
that's my job.
It's at the moment.
That's my job.
It literally comes down to who you believe, doesn't it? Because there's different people not on different sides. Sides is the wrong word to use, but where people are getting their information from. And that's all it is. It's information from different sides. There's articles that will go out in the mainstream, like the Telegraph one, that have probably been provided by 777, the PR companies or whatever. And Paul Brown and Philip Leclerc are doing independent reporting themselves for Josimar, or investigations themselves. So you've got two sides, and both of them are clearly saying different things. And the Premier League in the middle aren't saying anything, really, until they want to leak stuff out to their mainstream media. And they haven't really. I don't think on this they've leaked obviously stuff about the points, but I think on Everton they don't seem to be leaking stuff. Not much seems to be getting out.
If the Premier League have asked Farhad Mashiri and 777 more questions recently, like yesterday or whenever, there's only 3 entities who can leak it.
Yeah.
Which one of them's got a vested interest in this being leaked? And journalists often don't say their sources because obviously they don't stay sources very long if they start blabbing to the public. Oh, and Joe Bloggs at the Premier League told me this. So, so you're not likely to hear the source, right? It just makes it, therefore, a rich environment for for, I suppose, this isn't against what we're talking about, just as a phrase, unchallenged comment. Because none of us know the truth, really. We'll only all know the truth, won't we, even when a goddamn decision gets made. But, I mean, you get debate, right? I mean, Paddy Boylan's, I'm guessing, because I've not read it because I was driving, but I'm guessing he's pointing at the process being a bit elongated and so on. And therefore, that makes it the Premier League's fault, doesn't it?
Well, this is going to be the most stringent
and
one.
I know you have a view on this because I wasn't here, but...
No. What my view is not exactly what got... I am not a conspiracy theorist.
Can I just tell you what I thought your
you
view
thought
was?
I was blaming... No, what happened was... I am not a conspiracy theorist on this.
Do you think it's more on the Premier League or more on 777?
I think it's 777, personally.
Right.
But I'm not a conspiracy theorist in this. If it's not 777, if it is the Premier League dragging the feet, I'm of the opinion that what the Premier League are doing is...
Why is it on 777, I mean?
Why I think... Because I don't trust them, John.
No, that's different.
But I know, but that's the
from
reason.
From a process point of view, why is it on them?
Because I don't trust them, John. It's as simple as that. I don't trust them. I don't trust the people who work for them. I don't trust anything that comes out their mouths. They've got a proven record. That's just me personally.
That's fine.
I might be proven massively wrong, but what I was saying was I just don't believe it's a conspiracy.
Well, I don't... so who does? I don't. What's the conspiracy?
The conspiracy is that Premier League one is dead and buried. And
I see.
Grave.
No. You know, I've sat in that chair saying I don't believe that.
So, listen...
The guy who normally sits here has a different view.
I'm not saying Baz does have a different view. If I'm wrong, right? I've got no problem with that. We are all just guessing. But my point
we're all entitled to opinion as well.
Yeah, of course.
Our own opinion.
My point of view is I just don't see it as this big conspiracy. I think if it is on the Premier League, what they are doing is...
It must be on them,
they are making this is the most stringent test that's ever been done, simply because...
It's taking so bloody long.
Simply because they are trying to prove that it doesn't need an independent regulator, and we've fallen into the trap on both of these things by just bad timing. Simple as that. Don't get me wrong, I think what they've done to us on the points is disgusting. But I just don't want to fall into that trap of being like, it's a conspiracy theory. We'll get 10 points. They're not going to let us buy him. Every time we haven't had a penalty. Do you know what I mean? It's like...
Well, no. I think that they are just the emotional reactions of people who are frustrated, I think, right? But when I say, who is it on? Is it on the Premier League or is it on 777? Right? Let's just take a very simplistic view about, let's be objective, not emotive, not conspiratorial, right? You want to do something which I have the final say on.
Yeah.
So I ask you some questions. I say, Ped, how old are you? And
32.
You fumble and say, I was born in the 80s. You wish, right? But,
nearly.
You say, I was born in the 80s. Yeah? And I say, but how old are you? And you say, I was born in Liverpool. And I say, how old are you? And you say, well, I've told you. Right? And I don't make a decision. Whose fault is it? You for not telling me how old.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Or is it my fault for saying, well, I've asked you 3 bloody times. You haven't told me. No.
But again, no, John, that's because I do. Again, whether you think it's right or wrong, the process does seem to be open-ended, doesn't it?
Oh, it's crazy.
It's open, and that. Don't get me wrong, that's the Premier League.
Listen, Premier League have got real challenges with their processes because one of the reasons, in my personal opinion, that they're not fit for purpose is because they are open-ended.
Yeah.
And they invest
100%.
a huge amount of control over the timing and the process for concluding decision-making in third parties who they do not have any control over.
Yeah.
Right? So let's just join the 2 dots up on the 10-point thing. It goes to an independent commission, right? Or an appeal commission, whatever it's called, the appeal panel thing, which the bit we're in now. And they take, as long as they think is necessary to get to the right answer. They're not influenced by political expediency, by sporting integrity or anything like that. Their mission is to come up with the right answer and justify the answer. Hence, we'll get a judgment, done and a paper to support that. If the independent oversight panel on the change of ownership, fit and proper owners test sort of stuff, have the same freedom, they could be plodded along, mind their own sweet business. Oops, we've got another question. Oops, we've got another question. My own view, rightly or wrongly, is if 777 insist, as they appear to have done more than once, we have answered all the questions that we were given. It's wholly then on the Premier League.
Okay.
Completely. Right? If the Premier League can't make a decision, that tells us what we perhaps suspect about them, which is a bit wibbly-wobbly sort of thing. But how do you overcome that if you're the Premier League and you don't want to make a decision? How do you overcome it? You ask them another question.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree on that.
Because if the Premier League have asked 777 another question, there's no way 777 can say, the moment they get it, we've answered all the questions because we just got another one. Yeah. And so, hence the example I gave of me doing deals in the past. Potential clients would set a deadline for when they were going to make a decision. That deadline would approach. They'd realise they're not in a position to make it. Therefore, they would ask the competitors for more questions just to buy themselves some time.
I think the biggest thing is...
It's crazy.
I think the biggest thing on the whole process is...
crazy.
If you're going to do it, you should... Like you just said there, if it's a question and you don't like the answer, then how long before you send another question back, and then how long is it before you get another... They should be done in a day in a hotel room somewhere with people being face to face.
Funny you say that. Jim Ratcliffe went to see them, didn't he?
Did he? Yeah.
He had a personal interview, I believe. Yeah. Sources I can't repeat. No, all that rubbish. But you know, that's the point. Why would an English billionaire sit down with the Premier League or whoever it was he met with and say, these are my plans, you know me, I'm a good guy, and somebody else is all done by a slow transactional email-based process? I really don't know. But the bottom line is this is taking way too long.
No, I mean that
if it was a VAR decision, what would you be expecting? A yes or a no?
See, and this is sort of been my argument all the way along, John, is I don't believe there is a no. Because of the Premier League, I don't believe there's a no. I don't believe the Premier League will ever tell someone they can't buy a football club. I'm just going by what I've seen.
So they would have to provide a reason. Yeah.
No, but what I mean is there's almost a situation where it's like, you can just keep coming.
They've told countless people no.
No, I know, but they haven't. What I'm saying is they told Newcastle no. But they came,
and then it happened.
But it happened because it's not a hard no, it's a soft no, isn't it? It's a come back. No, it's a come back and redo your forms. And the thing that we told you was, it's like your MOT, isn't it? You go in, you fail your MOT, but they tell you what you did wrong. Yeah, you go and get the thing sorted. You come back the next day and you get your MOT done. In my head. That's what I.
Well, that's the questions. Yeah, that's the reiterative part of it. But it can't go on for 5 months. I can't imagine there's anything more important as a business to 777 now, football group, than getting an answer to can we buy Everton Football Club or not. So you would expect them to be very responsive.
But then the problem is, John, if it does work out.
Premier League are bandwidth restricted,
I think. If it does work out that these people... Because this article that's come out from Joshua Mann today basically says, I think, they're lending us money and they're lending the money. They're bringing the money in from someone else and then giving it to us. Like, that doesn't sound great.
Well, they're not giving it to us, are they?
Well, they have so far.
Oh, sorry, you mean the loans?
Yeah, they've given us loans, but they've taken loans to get someone's.
Well, that's what MSP do.
Yeah, but I'm just no.
Why do you not have an issue? Why do you have an issue with it? That's how it works. Man.
I'm not on anyone's side. I want.
How do you think banks lend you money?
No. I want an owner who don't know has a fluffy cat and is the nicest man in the world and is just going to hand over loads of money to us. It's not going to really.
Mr. Evil.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that would do me. Someone who was nice. Someone looked nice.
Was he Dr. Evil or Mr.?
Yeah, Dr. Evil.
Dr. Evil. So at least he's got a PhD.
Yeah, in evil.
Haven't we all?
In evil. But what if the checks aren't stringent though? What if these checks are taking place because what if we allowed these people to just rush through and take over?
It's not about rushing through. It's about, and I think the first part of your query then is spot on, which is, are these checks, you might not have used the exact words, but are the right checks? If we look at the way this 10-point thing happened, it's all a bit vague, isn't it? And all, and it's playing out in a very public forum. And the only takeovers that have happened in any form of public forum to date, unless you can remember others, are Newcastle and a little bit of Jim Ratcliffe, and he's not even taking control. It's 25%, right? And this 777 thing. So I just think the Premier League have found, as they're going down the track, that their processes are simply not robust enough, particularly when the noise around 777 is so vehement, so wide, so deep. And yet, potentially, the objective part of a process makes them look okay, but the subjective part says, oh my goodness, do we really want these guys in charge? So you've got this silly, but that's not 777's fault. You just, you submit your proposal and the person who makes a decision makes a decision. I think 777 potentially submitted their proposal so long ago, if you want to call it that, right, a proposal, my words, that the time they say the whole process should take has been, the Premier League have had it that long and longer. Do you know what I mean? The whole thing is supposed to take, 12 weeks? And it must be 8+ weeks before 777 we've answered all the questions.
But it's if they've answered them significantly, and that's my...
Mate, I can assure... listen, I can assure you, and I'll give you a real graphic example because it results in a very large deal, right? So you do deals, right? Or I used to do my day job, and we'd submit our proposal. They always did them, 9 o'clock Monday morning, that sort of thing. So you'd be working the weekend, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter how much time you have, you use all of it and a bit more. And we'd dispatch our proposal at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. And the deadline's 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock, I'm getting phone calls with questions, right? Because the people I'm submitted to say, we've got a HR expert waiting for this. We've got a finance expert waiting. We've got a technology expert waiting. We've got a business process expert waiting. They all go to the bit of the proposal that suits to them, and they're experts, and they go, what does that mean? Write it down. What does that? Write it down. They give it to their lead negotiator or their procurement guy, and he rings me up with 10 questions. And then I have to go, thank you very much, Ped, and I go speak to my HR expert and so on, right? But it's quick. It's quick. And by the way, that's transactions. That's a much bigger than the buying and selling of Everton Football Club.
Do you think...
much more complex as well.
Slightly changing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same subject.
We don't know that.
Do you think the Premier League would have... Let's say they're looking at it going, this doesn't smell right. But do you think that if they hadn't already put so much money into Everton, that maybe they would have told them to go away by now?
I really don't know. I think in some respect they've made a rod for their own back by taking so long, because you can assume, can you not, that somebody may say, well, if 777 don't get Everton and they demand their money back, what happens? And someone goes, well, Everton go into administration. So Premier League think, we don't want them to go into administration, not because of us. No. And then somebody else is going, yeah, but they're not the right owners. But they've handed over 160 million quid. Yeah, but they're not the right owners, but they've handed over. You know what I mean? And we've talked weeks ago, with me sat there, and I think probably Baz here. And it is like a never-ending VAR review.
No, it is.
They're looking, intuitively, they're looking for the evidence to say no. Now, if that's the case, pretend, that's conspiratorial, right? Looking for the evidence to say no, I'll do an alternative view in a minute. Then they're taking a long time to find it, right? Or they're looking for the evidence to say yes because of the aforementioned, but go with the objective view. You've got your little checklist, 3 strikes and you're out. There's 3 strikes here, sorry, right?
I think they're waiting for 777 to send themselves off.
Well, there is that also, of course, which is the 777 crew say, enough, we're fed up. Now, interestingly, if 777 had any view that the answer was going to be no, surely that's what they'd do. Yeah. They'd pull out and say, we don't want a stain on our character.
But did they believe, though, then, if this doesn't go through, you just mentioned the word administration, they never get their money back?
If that happens, that's right, yeah. Which is what the little ear that I would be whispering was said, but would they cut their nose off to spite their face? But if you let external influences, do just that, influence your judgment, when your judgment is supposed to be objective... I mean, this is tantamount to the cameras and the lines say that Baz is offside, but we don't want to disallow the goal. What do we do? And we know what the Premier League do. The camera stops working. Yeah.
Or they get Mike Dean.
Or the lines are too thick.
Mike Dean tells you, mate.
You know what I mean? So if you live in an objective, and this is the bit I struggle with, because for years I would submit proposals and the client would make judgments and they'd tell you what their requirements were. And if you satisfied all the requirements, including price, you would expect to win. Yeah. But if somebody else satisfies them to a higher standard, they would win. High standard might be, same level of service, less money, whatever, right? But this isn't like that. It's not like, shall we approve 777 or Amazon?
Yeah.
You know, it's just, have they passed the threshold to be fit and proper owners or not? And if they have, say yes. If they haven't, say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we keep having the same goddamn debates.
Keep on giving us more stuff to talk about. That's the problem.
Well, it is, yeah. But the most recent one we got was, and we asked earlier in the week, Premier League, you know, not for us, we're not saying anything. 777, mid to late Feb. Everton, as soon as possible, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and why people would even get into any form of debate, like Paddy allegedly. I've not read your article yet, Paddy, but I will, mate. Blaming the Premier League. In a binary sense, I would blame the Premier League because it's their process.
Yeah. No, listen, for the whole thing, I blame the fact that the process doesn't say go away.
The thing I find challenging to get my head round is people who will say it's 777's fault if they haven't answered the questions. Yeah, it's 777's fault if they haven't answered the questions, if they get told no. It's not 777's fault we haven't had a decision.
Yeah.
It can't be.
Yeah.
That's like blaming the judge. Judge goes into his back room to consider whether you're guilty as charged or not, and then people start blaming you because he hasn't come back fast enough. Ridiculous. Completely ridiculous.
Funny, when you said Amazon then, it took me...
Amazon Arena.
No, I watched the first part of the Sunderland documentary last night.
I've too much to watch, mate.
I just watched it and I just thought, why on earth have Everton not taken the money for this? And I know the last crew wouldn't have, because it would have shone a massive spotlight on them. But if Everton aren't taking money for a documentary right now, because... Just watching the first part last night, and literally,
which season are they up to?
So this is it's season 3, and it's
last season.
Right? No, was it last season? Yeah, when they got promoted.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, but
into the championship.
In one episode, they must have gone through 4 managers. Honestly, it was amazing, and I'm just thinking, how Everton haven't done this. We would be printing money if we had a documentary. Warts and all. Now's the time to do it. Obviously, with us leaving, they should start it now. They start it right now. There's no one to give the nod.
Everton, just capture your own content, if nothing else. Don't get, you know.
Oh, yeah, if I was Everton now, if they can afford it, I'd bring a production team in, their own production team in to film it all.
Well, they've had offers, haven't they, so?
And then sell it to whoever wants it, and I'm sure someone will have it. Because I know
that's sort of how it works, isn't it?
Well, Liverpool's isn't like, no one's come to them. Liverpool have been filming it themselves.
Oh, have they? Well, there you go.
And they're going to sell it to the highest bidder.
There you go.
That's how you do it. I mean, if they win something this season and Klopp leaves and all that, imagine the drama.
Last game of the season, Europa League Cup final.
Whatever.
That's the last game, isn't it?
Yeah, hopefully that's the last. Hopefully, well,
you hope it'll be on a Sunday, the last game, don't you?
Who?
Liverpool's last game on a Sunday.
No, it's not.
Premier League.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. And you know, worldwide, Liverpool fans will all watch it. Pay stupid money for the privilege as well.
A lot of people will watch it though, won't they? We're the only ones who won't really watch it. No, I mean, I haven't even watched the Newcastle one. But that's what Newcastle
I haven't watched Newcastle. I've not watched Sunderland.
I watched Sunderland, honestly.
I know it's that Newcastle because I wasn't interested. Sunderland because just where do you find the time, you know? Wrexham, I've watched the first couple of series. Is there a third series?
There's a third series coming.
Yeah, so I've watched
2 months.
So I've watched the first 2 and find it proper fascinating.
Yeah, right. Brilliant. That's the best.
And then all the ones Baz watches, all the foreign ones. I don't watch those.
Oh, I've watched all of them.
Yeah.
The World. Have you watched the whole of the World Cup one? Yeah.
Which one? The captain's one.
Yeah. That's a brilliant one.
I binged that one.
Yeah, that's superb. That one.
I found the Messi one. Was it Messi? No, Thiago one. Absolutely superb.
Yeah.
Very emotional, even though I'm not a fan of the country, Brazil.
Good, though,
but it was brilliantly.
The Sunderland one's
brilliantly edited.
Yeah, the Sunderland one is really good because it's us.
And there's that much of England because Kane's boring.
He is boring. But the Sunderland one's just us. It's us on steroids.
Is it really?
It really is. You listen to the fans, and the fans are just on their knees and they're asking, How did this happen? How did that happen? Who's running the place? I mean, something got in the last one last night. Something got revealed right at the end, and it was like this bombshell.
We were like, no.
All the fans were like, no, because this lad had come in who's a billionaire.
Is that a young fellow?
Yeah, he's a billionaire.
He turned them round, though, hasn't he?
But at the end of the first season, at the end of the first episode, I'm not giving anything away because this happened in real life. But it basically had revealed that the last owner still owns 60% of the club. So he's almost just like a face
for them. He does own 40%.
So he presents as the owner, but he's
not,
a minority.
But he's a minority, and they're all like, "What? Nothing."
Does that mean I can be the Everton owner?
Yeah, it's like nothing. Oh, honestly, John, you were watching, you would just be like, "This is us on steroids," or "This is a brilliantly cautious."
Do you have to watch the other two?
I would do, but it's weird to do.
But there's lots of episodes, isn't there?
Yeah, but come on. Well,
I shall look for.
Or just wait, because soon when telly runs out because of the strike.
Well, not over here.
You'll need
But
some.
in the States, yeah.
TV's rubbish over here.
What's it called? Sunderland Till I Die.
Sunderland Till I Die. Honestly, it's
But
yeah, it's us on steroids though. In fact, we could have watched the first 2 seasons as a club and gone, let's make sure that never happens to us. Honestly. But it's little things with
here
them.
we go.
Little things with them, like do you know when you don't realise?
It's only 8 episodes,
Yeah,
the first series.
You don't realise how
Are they an hour long?
No, some of them are shorter. Some of them
So
are
I could
40
cover it in a
minutes.
day.
Yeah, easily.
A series
Honestly,
in a day.
you'll it's a brilliant way to.
And only 6 episodes and 14 to catch up.
Yeah.
Come
there
on,
you go.
people. Should we do it together?
I think you should watch it.
I will.
Honestly.
Because anything that on IMDb gets 8.9,
Brilliant, John.
that's till the very end. That's Tuesday's episode. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
The last episode?
Chris Coleman.
8.9.
Chris Coleman fighting with fans and everything. Honestly, you don't get
The whole series, 3 series is 8.1.
This is where
That's
the
brilliant.
infamous Jack Rodwell interview came from.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
It's got where he said. But when you look back on that, now I was saying to Baz the
It's
other day,
4 years ago. 6 years ago.
But I was saying to Baz the other day, I was like, well, do you know what? No, when you think about football, is that he's well within his rights to stay.
Of course he is.
You know, because it's not a long career. But like, there's a bit with Aidan McGeadian, and he's just talking about how mad it is there, and this is
Good mad.
No. But you look at the stadium's dead. Even though the stadium's 20 years old, it's tired.
Yeah.
And it's so like Meccano.
Oh, is it?
Or you know what I mean? It's like when you look at that stadium, when those stadiums got built, Southampton and Derby and Sunderland, they're so poor.
The titles of the episodes are great.
Yeah.
The Time for Men.
There you go. Yeah, there's a football match on Monday. Let's
Who's
just
playing?
let's talk about it. The Palace situation though is
Oh, Roy's all right.
they're in limbo, aren't they? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, don't want to be, make light of this whatsoever, but they clearly wanted to announce a new manager yesterday.
Yeah.
But then obviously Roy takes ill. Steve Palace actually drove him to the hospital,
Wow.
and I don't know what happened to him, of course, what's happened to him, but he clearly must have had a collapse or just felt unwell.
Yeah.
But it does leave them in a bit of a weird situation, doesn't it? Because unless he basically says I'm standing down or whatever, it's a really, really difficult. I've never incurred this in my life. I don't think I can remember anything like this in my life.
No.
And I know no one's making a big deal out of it, and that's good because no one should. But it's really interesting situation they find themselves in.
Interesting is an interesting word.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
Because the last news about Roy is a day old, isn't it? So hopefully he's settling and
Yeah.
and all that jazz. But as you rightly say, interesting for the club, because there's a game on Monday. If they'd already made the decision, and maybe Roy even knew it, I don't know, to change manager, but it wouldn't look well as an optic, would it, to change manager while the current manager's in hospital? And then what do you do? Presumably Roy's assistants take over, because it wouldn't look good to have the new guy helping out. So, and yet presumably everybody knows at the club, or sort of knows, what's going on. But it was a shock that he's gone to hospital and stuff, because, despite his age, he's always been quite a vibrant type of manager, isn't he? Certainly verbally,
Yeah.
and doesn't look like someone who's just about to keel over. So best wishes to him.
I mean, obviously,
let's wait and see. So.
There have been, don't get me wrong, there have been situations where obviously managers have took ill at clubs.
Always, yeah.
But a manager taking ill on the day he was supposed to get sacked,
It's extraordinary.
and his replacement is all agreed. It's all everywhere. The guy's waiting. The guy's signed the
Just
paper.
waiting for the press conference.
Palace went. Obviously, Palace thought last time they'd had Lucien Favre and it went out early, and then he turned round over the weekend and said no. They didn't want a situation like that. They wanted the guy's signature.
Wet
and
signature
and he
time,
obviously got it.
And then for this to happen, just as I said, we have had situations where people have took Graham Souness had a heart bypass. Gerard Houllier obviously when obviously was very ill.
Going to hospital while he was.
We've had situations. Colin Harvey had, well, I mean, it wasn't as bad. He had his hip replaced, and obviously it's not the same thing. But this is an extraordinary situation.
Managers step out for a game.
Yeah.
For a procedure type of thing, and then they come back. But no, on a day when everyone's, when particularly legacy journalist types, waiting for a press confirmation that the manager has changed, and what they actually get is that the current manager's gone to hospital instead. Yeah. Madness. And the radio silence is hopefully not a bad sign. Let's just wait and see.
No, it's an extraordinary situation. I just it's really interesting what happens next, because you know,
and it was, the timing was right when you get a longer break to change the manager, but they should have changed it very early in the week.
Yeah, I mean, they should have changed it maybe Tuesday.
Yeah.
But again, though, they were probably waiting for this signature and it all to be done. They don't want to be left in a situation where they're just sacking somebody. And obviously, I even think using the word sacked is almost a very harsh thing to do.
It is, yeah, it is.
So I don't know what'll happen. Maybe
we're recommending that the current manager doesn't have to fulfil his side of the contractual obligation, but we'll still pay him all the money. But that's a bit long-winded, isn't it?
I mean, without being horrible, he could even take advantage of this situation and say Roy is unwell and he will
not be returning. Yeah,
I mean that'd be.
Unfortunately, this guy's been around the office, so we're going to give him the job. Yeah,
that would probably be.
Everyone knows.
Yeah, that would probably be the most delicate way to do, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he's on gardening leave, but we're never going to talk about him ever again.
From their playing side perspective, it's, you know, again, it'll be a matter of opinion whether this lifts their players or depresses them. But they're not playing well, are they?
No, they're not playing well. And ultimately, even if they had brought a new manager, it shouldn't change what was going to happen on Monday night, because...
Certainly not now.
They've got, they've got injured players.
Yeah.
We're getting players back.
Yeah.
We saw Decore on the grass yesterday. He'll play. We've got Onana available.
He'll start.
We actually have suddenly gone from having no options to options in midfield.
And we didn't get through the period too badly.
No, one defeat, and that was against the team that we all thought we were going to get beaten by anyway. So it gives
Would that be English, European and world champion, as the stadium announcer kept repeating and over and over again.
What was that thing, John, about him starting the chants when people went off, like, were coming on and going off?
It was reminiscent of how Dortmund's announcer does it. Yeah, but very similar thing.
But that's like I've
never heard it before.
That's a very European thing,
isn't
it?
Yeah, but they were joining in.
Yeah, when they were
wasn't as good as the Dortmund.
No,
one.
Jadon Sancho. Yeah, and all that kind of thing. But I found that to be a bit weird.
But it kept going on. Here is your Manchester English world champions.
See, I think,
but they're not fortunate City fans. They've told me. Yeah, I said they were fortunate.
The thing about City fans is, and it's probably similar to our fans, is don't try and make them something they're not.
Spoiled, I describe them as. Yeah, they insist they're not spoiled.
Yeah, they are spoiled.
They tell you about how shit they were 40 years ago and forget how brilliant they've been for the last 10.
But I don't think you should ever try and make a fan base something it's not.
Oh, no.
You should never do that.
You can imagine some stadiums not far from here would embrace that and others just wouldn't, you know. But
I don't think Liverpool would do it, though.
I don't think so.
Liverpool, whatever you say about them, are pretty authentic.
I see more scarves in that ground than any other ground I ever go to.
But what Liverpool have done really cleverly, whether you like it or not, is they've taken their history, what it was, and they've added a manufactured level on top of it, but it's still the same.
The marketing's brilliant.
It's still the same history.
Yeah.
You can manufacture your own history. You can't manufacture a history you never had,
That's true.
or things you don't do.
True.
So you can't. Liverpool would never start so you'll never walk alone on the scarf thing. People go there knowing that's going to happen and it's going to be amazing, so they're going to add to it. Whereas which is what we saw at Dortmund, we didn't add to it. We turned our back and moved.
You like the segue about the tune, do you?
Yeah. But Liverpool will go, we know what we are good at. Let's ramp that up to 10. But you can't take something you don't do and ramp it up to 10, because we've had that at Everton. I mean, the only ones I've seen do it is that Arsenal and that terrible song. It's awful. I've seen them sing that after the Liverpool game, and honest to God, it was the worst thing.
You've heard it, haven't you? It's like this song that has been written about North London, and they're all singing it, and it's waffles and waffles and waffles, and it's like At Least You'll Never Walk Alone. It's got about 12 words in it. This just goes on, and you're like, you've really bought into this. That is. But
they've had them flags for years.
No, I get the flag, but you remember?
I don't.
You remember
paying people to wave flags when you.
But you remember when Peter Johnson tried that? He tried it. Lasted one game.
Oh, they're changing. Yeah.
He brought this new song in, written by this band that were like, I'm sure they were from like Scandinavia, and they put the words on the scoreboard. This is like 95, and honest, everyone just was like,
"No,
what is this?"
No.
He had that stupid wavy-armed mascot going round, Dixie, where his limbs were like down the floor, and everyone was just like, no, this is not Everton. Bring back,
Toffee lady,
like, get Z cars and add the sirens at the beginning. That's Everton.
Well, this is how long it took us to get the sirens, really.
Yeah, but that's Everton. You take something and you
sirens is a good example because it's part of the fabric now, isn't it?
But you take something, you build on, and it wasn't like because it was part of Tony Bellew's walk up music. You'd already bought into it. Loads of people already bought into it. But I have no problem with like taking something that's yours and building on the back of it. Like whether it's Grand Old Team, whether it's on the banks of the Royal Blue Mersey, and adopting it. Everton are quite good at taking things the fans have done and like going, we'll do this. You see them
years after the fan had the idea, though.
Not always. You see people.
I'm only joking.
You see people like do the nicknames. So Big Mick Kegger was, I think Chico came up with that one.
Yeah.
And next minute, Everton,
alter egos are available.
But Everton then start using that nickname because they know the fan base is using it.
That's right.
See, I don't mind that.
No,
I don't mind that at all. That's a connection.
Brings a bit of intimacy.
Yeah, it's a connection, and obviously they're going to do that with this. It's when you take things that
just aren't
used, or they want to bring them in and go, this is a thing that we're going to make, and you're just like, no, you're not, because we, as a fan base, set what's the thing.
But the other thing they do at the Etihad is obviously they play Beatles songs, which I just.
It drives me mad.
Don't get it.
It drives me mad when Brentford were playing it. I hate that.
I don't get it.
It's like, they're not your songs. They're our songs.
Yeah.
They're not your... Just because it goes well with City.
Gallagher must be in his box thinking, why aren't they doing any of mine?
It annoys me so much.
Mad.
But though, I mean, Monday, it's got to be 3 points Monday, because saying to Baz yesterday, we've got some big home games coming up now.
We just need to win those big home games.
Yeah, we win those big home games, we'll be fine.
Yeah,
we'll be fine. And
there won't be a huge amount of Palace fans there, I don't think, because they don't travel well, do they? So the stadium can bounce. It's a night game. Everyone can have a bevy, get wound up, go for it, and come away with 3 points. And recent times we've done all right against them. So the balance is tipped our way, isn't it? Returning players, home ground advantage, all that stuff. So let's do it.
Yeah, we have got some. I mean, I know we've only won 3 at home, but we have to turn that round, and we have to do it now, because the second half season we've got Palace, Forest, Burnley. Who else have we got? We've got a few, haven't we? That are down there that we should be taking the points off.
Take the points off the ones around us.
Yeah, that's it. And hopefully that confidence builds for those other games. Then that might look on paper, tougher. We've played most of the top teams, haven't we, at home?
We've played more than 19 games. So, you mean at home?
At home, we've played City home and away now.
Twice.
We've got Liverpool to play at home. We've got Manchester United to play away.
Yeah.
We've got Chelsea to play away. We've played Tottenham twice. We've got Arsenal last game of the season.
That's right.
We've probably got
a thrashing. Yeah.
The way it looks at the moment, we've probably got the last week of the season will probably be at Liverpool at home, Arsenal away.
Yeah.
So we've played a lot of the teams. So
and it should be done by then. It should.
It better be.
Well, if you look at the games that precede that last week, for us, I mean,
never know. It might take till after the last game.
Yeah.
With everything going on.
Oh, points deductions.
Not just us, but for Forest.
I mean, it should be done as far as on the field as we've banked enough points, and it's only if we've been stiffed with extra deductions and things. And if we get points back as well, it'll make the mentality of the players that little bit easier. Yeah.
Well, that's it. It's about confidence, isn't it? And again, little things like Dom scoring. They're the little things now, aren't they? You can get Dom scoring, or
goes into the last 10 games with a bit of confidence.
Or the Corey comes back and scores on his first game back and things like that, and stays fit. And hopefully only having one game a week, bar the Newcastle game, I think it is.
Yeah.
in early March.
Because it's a double week for quite a lot of clubs, isn't it, next week?
Well, obviously you've got FA Cup games, you've got teams in Europe.
Yeah.
This is where it always winds me up when people go, well, you have to play everyone twice, but not always in terms of like, I mean, you do. But what I mean by that is,
we just had a phase where everyone playing some clubs twice within a week or two of each other.
But it's when you play teams as well.
Yeah.
You could have a situation where you're playing on a Sunday against someone who's played on a Thursday,
and you've had
you've had the week off.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes that's how it falls. And if you that's the touch of luck sometimes you need in the Premier League.
True.
So, no, it's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting. A few people in the comments saying put Michael Keane up front on Monday night.
What, instead of DCL? Yeah,
He's the best finisher at the club. That's what we keep on getting told.
Not very mobile though.
No, he's not.
Tell me a goal he scored by running onto it. No, he stood there and it comes to him, and great finisher.
Spurs last year picked the ball up, took a few yards and then smashed it in.
True.
But that was outside the box.
Exception that proves the rule.
Yeah, that was outside the box.
But he is a great finisher.
Yeah, he is. Apparently he's the best.
Good penalty taker.
Let's just have a look at some of the comments. Abigail, Sunderland documentaries on Netflix.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine most of you I'd have that.
Most of you would have that. Isn't it a luxury?
It might. Know what? It might be for some people. Who might to say? But I do think.
Do you ever get the silly messages saying stop sharing it with everyone you know?
No, I don't share it with anybody. I honestly don't.
I get them and just ignore them.
I don't share.
Because my son's too tight, and then Teresa's cousin.
The only people I'd share it with would be my mum and dad, and I don't think they know how to log into it. I think they used to, but now I think they get me sisters. So
because they can click a. Have they got a modern telly? You know, smart TV.
No, but my dad's so thingoed about switching between the telly and the bloody Fire Stick that I think he gets lost somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And he gets lost somewhere in the middle. I mean, he knows what he's doing, but the amount of times I had, what's the password again? So I think now he's just got my sisters because she lives 2 doors away from him. So if there's any problems, she can just come in and sort it.
She's the help desk, is she?
Yeah.
Well done. What's her name?
Jane.
Shout out to Jane.
Yeah.
Commiserations for having,
She loves it. She loves having a famous brother. Jay says Ped constantly flip-flops from Premier League being corrupt and not being a conspiracy theorist. Make your mind up. I mean, I haven't. I haven't.
You can argue that your view they're corrupt is not a conspiracy.
I don't. That them being corrupt doesn't mean
they're not corrupt, are they?
No, but if I say they're corrupt, that doesn't mean it's a conspiracy theory either. That's the point. If I say they're rubbish, and I do believe they're rubbish, it doesn't mean that.
You get plenty of traction on that.
Yeah,
that they're rubbish. Less so on corruption.
It doesn't mean that I believe that we don't get penalties and the ownership and the 10 points is all one big conspiracy.
No,
it's just not. It's just that we've fallen into the wrong place at the wrong time because they want to because there's an independent commissioner sitting there ready to take over the Premier League. Like, no, and we've just come into their orbit at the wrong time. Sadly.
True.
Sadly. Rita says, in regards to Roy, my kindest and warmest thoughts. I wish the man well.
Absolutely.
Question, can the Premier League be sued over what has been done to us and are doing with dragging the 777 decision out?
I wouldn't have thought so, no. Because the Premier League shareholders have approved the process and Everton are one of those and have been since the beginning.
Yeah.
Now, we never get told who votes which way. So it's quite possible we voted against some stuff that we now don't like. But no, can't sue them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Although as US companies tend to show, costs nothing to sue people, even if you're not allowed to. You just say, I'm suing you, and never goes to court, nothing ever happens. I think, going back to your having Everton on be it Amazon or Netflix or one of the others, maybe Apple would be good, yeah. It'd be fascinating, wouldn't it, around now?
See, this is the point, isn't
head
it?
and shoulders to camera. We've just spoken to the Premier League and they've told us the same again. They don't know when they're going to make a decision.
The point being is like on the documentaries is you can film it now, but it mightn't come out for 18 months.
That's right.
No,
the Formula One, which is really good, is a bit like the Sunderland one. It's always a year behind.
Yeah.
And what they do is the Formula One thing will start next weekend or whenever.
Yeah.
It becomes almost an advert for the current season.
Yeah, and that's what's so clever about it is like you can say things to camera now, which
They're historical.
Yeah, if it came out now, then obviously that will leave stuff. But if it comes out in a year's time, no one's actually. You're not going to get in trouble for those things because whatever you said will
It's in public domain almost by
it'll
then.
be out by then, won't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
You know, and if someone at Everton's like, this is dragging on and blah blah blah, by the time it's done, I mean, you'd hope in 18 months or a year's time that it'll be all sorted.
Mm.
But you'll understand the process, and that's.
Well, you did it a few minutes ago when you were talking about Sunderland because you were trying to avoid doing spoilers.
Yeah.
And you said, well, actually, this one's known. You know, the 40% owner running the club type thing.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what's great about
but a 25% owner is going to run the club at Man United.
Yeah. But that's what's great.
How does the fit and proper owners test deal with that?
Yeah.
He's clearly going to have more control over the running of that football club because he's going to be dealing with the sporting side than the owners do.
Yeah.
But he's presumably gone through the process much quicker because he's, quote, only buying 25%. But so you can't have a subjective owner's test. Sorry, that's going back to where we were before. It can't be subjective, therefore it's objective, therefore Sir Jim gets done like that.
I think 777 should have jumped in like that personally.
Yeah.
But
Well, when they have a board meeting, maybe they can just have something tabled, maybe Everton table it or Nottingham Forest or somebody and say, can we just have a rule that says when these referrals happen, they're dealt with in that chronology? And then they can have the silliness then of Everton and Nottingham Forest, potentially Chelsea and Wolves, all stacked in behind Man City. It just seems daft that Man City can... Imagine if Man City are found guilty and get some massive, massive punishment, but that punishment comes 18 months after they first got referred. 18 months to make sure whatever punishment you get is softened because you know it's coming. You know, Pep Guardiola gets to retire before he's in charge. Everyone forgets he got done for drug use as a player. Blah blah blah. World's greatest manager, allegedly. But yeah, you know what I mean. It's just there's nothing happens quickly enough, does it?
well, you're right. You can put things in place if you can see coming down the road. You can stash all the money in.
Well, I did an article for MTAG about the new UEFA rules. No, because Premier League are allegedly going to have something very similar. And you can look at it because it's, effectively a salary cap based on your income. Then those with the biggest income get least impacted by it. And those with huge owners, financially, I mean, like, say, Newcastle, have got time to figure out how to circumvent them.
Yeah.
And UEFA, bless them, have made it lovely and transparent and objective. You breach the rule by this, we fine you that. So boardrooms can say, right, we have to just factor in the fine and break the rules anyway. Now, that's the reason why the Premier League presumably would argue a points deduction is the right answer.
Yeah.
And yet I think most of us would agree it's not. So there's the challenges of regulation. The best way is if the regulator is totally independent, because then you get objective decision-making without any vested interest.
Yeah.
But what are we going to do if Man City aren't in the Premier League no more? Oh, my goodness, we're going to lose £1 billion a year. Because City will go, right, we'll go and join the Super League then. Yeah. We're not going down to League 3 or whatever it's called. We'll go and join the Super League. Madness.
Tom Newton says, seems that people have either think Dyche is a miracle worker or he's a dinosaur.
He's neither. He's neither.
It's perfectly fine to think he's done a solid job in difficult circumstances and he's the right man at the moment.
I totally agree with that. What about you?
But that he's also not the right man long term in terms of style of play, etc. And his home record is terrible. All opinions allowed. I agree with all that, Tom. The football's rubbish. It's rubbish. You watch it and you're just like, this is rubbish to watch, but it's effective. It's effective, and that's what Everton needs.
Jose Mourinho made a career out of what we might call small R rubbish football. But if you win trophies with that rubbish football, you're happy, aren't you?
The last fella tried to play football, didn't work. Then he tried to play five at the back, didn't know how to do it, and got sacked. This fella knows exactly what he's trying to do, and we've got one of the best defences in the league because of it.
Yeah.
And if a few of them up front could put the ball in the back of in the net, then we'd be higher up. We should be mid-table, points deduction. And we'd be even higher if a couple of, these players could put the ball in the back.
When we are all moaning, right, that the average of whatever it is, around 1.3 points per game, isn't enough from this squad, that's when Dyche should be the wrong man. So that's what, how do we know when that is? A couple of solid years in 10th. Is that what that means?
Suppose.
A couple of solid years with 40 to 45 points.
It's what the club wants, isn't it? It's what the club feel is needed at that time.
The sweet spot in this division is just below where you get aspirations that cause you to spend too much money.
Yeah.
And that's called profitability. That's where Brighton were for many years. That's where Brentford were. And they'll have an issue with Tony, won't they, once he's gone.
Well, they bought a striker yesterday.
Did they?
Brentford, yeah.
Right.
Bought his replacement yesterday.
Cool.
They're on it.
Where's he from?
I think he's been playing in Belgium.
Outside the window.
Yeah, but it's all done. 30 million.
For the summer. But that then plays into the debate we've had before when aspirations says it's cost you 30 million for the striker. Yeah. And Brighton will spend 50 on a player, won't they? You know, and then it all gets harder then. Yeah. Because mistakes are obvious. Yeah. You know, you buy 5 players for 5 million each and 3 of them are donkeys. It doesn't matter. You buy 1 for 50 and he doesn't quite do it. It does. Happy days.
Dan says, I can see this appeal being announced on Tuesday. So that nothing is shown on Sky. Come on, Blues, let's get behind the team and take a valuable 3 points.
Oh, just whatever happens, take the 3 points.
Gary Ward says, Hardy.
Hi, Gary.
James Kendall says, I'd personally love to see McNeil dropped for Beto and Harrison shifted out to the left. Beto's got pace and power, but you can see a front three of Harrison, Dom and Beto on the right being really effective. McNeil doesn't do enough for me this season, and Harrison has shown that he is off the right, is cutting in and losing the ball. I think Dyche needs to take creative risks. But he'd say, why would I take risks? That's Dyche, isn't it, in a nutshell?
Not about risks.
Why would I take risks? He's like, I've got my team. It can be effective when they're all there. I've got the Corey back. I've got Onana back. I don't need to take risks.
Say you got yourself into a situation where for something you wanted to do, you had to drop, motive phrase, but drop McNeil or Harrison. Which one would you drop?
Right now, McNeil.
I'd drop Harrison.
For the set pieces?
No, just generally, because he's lots of effort but no output.
I think McNeil's
recently
been awful.
No, I don't dispute that. That's why I made it a binary decision.
I think
it'd be interesting to know. Do a poll. Yeah,
it's been awful this season, and I know a lot of it. I know
it's like he come back soon, and I know he's got the off-field stuff as well.
And he's had 2 injuries, which he just hasn't settled down.
No, that's right.
In terms of his fitness,
he seemed to come back early, didn't he?
Yeah, but on both.
Yeah,
and that just shows you where we are as a squad,
and the manager's desire to play the ones he wants to play, even if they're not quite 100%.
Alex says, what's your opinion on if we get some points back that we'll just receive the same again for the second charge? So say it's reduced to 5 points to the first one on appeal, then we'll get another 5 for the second one. Or do you think we'll only receive 1 punishment due to the fact that the second charge already covers 2 of the same reasons as the first charge?
I think more the latter than the former. But I would also offer the view that the way the process is supposed to work, the second commission is independent not only of the Premier League, but independent of the first commission. So in theory, we could get the same points again.
Yeah. No, we couldn't we? And this is why it's, again, a joke.
And then that goes to appeal again.
Yeah.
So we could end up using 4 of their judicial panel as judges.
This is why it's a joke that there's nothing written down about what you can get. Because really, if we did get 5 points back for something that took 3 years, and then we got another 5 points for something that's really 1 year, then how is that a measured approach?
It's not.
It doesn't.
But that's not how the judge would see it, is it?
No, I know, but that's the whole point.
They just see it as 3 years.
Again, that's the crux of the whole thing we're talking about. Of something
the process
doesn't make any sense.
It's just wrong. And
when people go, "Oh, you cheated," or blah blah, it's like, you don't know what we know. We sit here every day and we chat about it.
Anyone who persists, and I have to say, anyone who persists with the view, in quotes, that Everton are cheats and you know what you are type of thing, beyond the banter bits, because, chanting at the match is all part of winding people up, isn't it? But I noticed in recent times, lots of other fan groups from around, I've seen Tottenham, Villa, Wolves. And the Wolves was a funny one. The Wolves, when the Neto thing, that almost woke people up that, whoa, maybe it's not just these guys. And it's mad. Nobody knows. And it's why there was no transfers in January, because guess what? Even the biggest clubs in the land with the biggest turnovers are not quite sure where the line is. It's like saying we draw a line for VAR for offside, but we're not telling you where the line's drawn. We just draw the line when you're naughty, and then we decide whether you've passed it or not.
Yeah. Horse feathers. No, he's getting annoyed about headlines on Goodison News, Everton News, Football Insider.
Some of those you should.
They're all rubbish, mate. Don't click on them. There was a story on one of them yesterday, and it was from us. It was Alan Stubbs.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Alan Stubbs and his quotes.
Recycling his
stuff off us. Don't click on them.
With no credit.
Yeah, there was credit. No, I'm saying there's credit, but essentially you just recycle.
Let's just say they're aggregating sites and they don't check whether it's true or not.
It's just recycled nonsense, isn't it? It's like, I mean, at least if we're something on our news, we generally go, this is just something that doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Just don't click on them. Fed says, this is one for you, John.
Oh,
I don't know what your taste lies.
keep thinking I'm going to get something
in comedy, but I know you're a F1 and a Merc fan. So highlighting the Rob and Ramesh program with Mercedes at Monaco last year. It's out on Sky.
Oh, I'll watch that. Thank you. Yeah.
There you go.
Been a Mercedes fan since forever, but because of Sir Lewis, right? But my team of choice is McLaren. So
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I'll watch that. Sounds good.
Roy Vernon says, on a lighter note, the Millennium Falcon is coming along nicely. I don't know what that means.
Is he building one?
Are you building one? Have I missed this?
Is it life size?
Is it one of those things where you get it like with a magazine once a month, and the first one costs 99 pence, and then the second one costs £8, and there's 100 issues, and you end up paying £3,000 for a model?
I've got about, I don't know, those ring binders?
Yeah.
About 20 ring binders full of everything you ever it's in the loft somewhere, everything you ever want to know about the Star Trek franchise. Because my youngest lad at the time started collecting it, and it became one of them. We'll just get the next one. And it was never ending. Yeah. Absolutely never ending. I've no idea whether it's complete or not. And there's probably loads and loads still in
There is loads of them.
Anyone wants it, message me. You can have it.
Yeah. Keith, press conferences tomorrow, 9:30. Maya says, afternoon lads, score predictions for Monday. Will be a different game now that Palace have a new manager bounce? Well, they haven't got a new manager, have they? So
that's true.
I don't know, but they haven't got a new manager, not as we speak, and I don't know. Mike Barrett says, that's Dr. Evil, John. He didn't spend 7 years at Evil Medical School to be called Mister. Thank you very much.
Well, actually, if he got promoted to be a consultant, thank you very much, he would be Mister.
He would be Mister, yeah.
So, nah.
Yeah.
Well, he changed career, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Everton Viking says the 777 stuff is just getting ridiculous and bored. And now either say yes or no, hopefully no, but even then the Premier League have let us be saddled with hundreds of millions of pounds of debt with 777. Only to say no is even worse. He also says the lad who owns Sunderland now, what's that? The lad who owns Sunderland now's mum is in loads of Marvel movies, including the series and Thunderbolt movie coming soon. Oh, interesting. I'll have a little look at that. Mark Max says, how did Jack Rodwell not develop into a great player on round the tower? You talk about players not fitting potential. He was one. Probably the injuries. Injuries held him back. Sean Hanna says, can't help but feel Masters in the Premier League just want to punish us. So annoying. That feels a bit conspiratorial. Right, let me just do a...
She's an American actress and comedian.
Oh, is she? Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's his mum. No, yeah, could be. Well, it's the female head of the family, so to speak.
What's her name?
Julia Louise.
Oh, Dreyfus.
Dreyfus, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's the head of the CIA in Marvel films now. Why don't you just tell me that? Why don't you just say Louise? She was in Seinfeld.
She's known for lots of stuff.
Yeah, she was in Seinfeld.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. She recently got over
Simpsons.
She got over. She recovered from cancer not too long ago.
Marvel Studios Assembled.
Yeah, she's one of the. She's a bit of a bad guy in Marvel films now. She's just recently come into it.
Oh yeah, it's not listed. Oh yeah, Thunderbolts.
She's going to be in Thunderbolts, but she was in Wakanda Forever, and she was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
That's that Black Panther, that Wakanda thing.
Yeah.
So there you go. You learn stuff every day.
You taught me something, and yeah, there you go.
Call yourself a Marvel fan.
No, I didn't know who his mum was.
You've been watching Sunderland.
No, but I don't know. I've watched one episode of him being in it.
He owns 64% now.
Oh, does he? Oh, you've spoiled it for me.
Someone else owns the other 36, though.
What's going on here with wrestling chat?
Wrestling chat?
Yeah, I don't know. Andrew Ryan says, Brock Lesnar's original WWE run was only 2 years long, but the second one lasted 11 years. But Brock has wrestled 26 matches more in his second year run than his first 11. Have you just put that in the wrong chat? Or something? What's the wrestling chat for? Andrew Ryan then says, if Moyes gets sacked and we stay up, would you replace Dyche with Moyes in the summer?
No.
No, let's leave
Don't
that.
go back.
Let's leave it where it is. Right, we are done. We are heading over now to More Than a Game in about 5 minutes or so.
Auto link and all that.
The link is there. Just follow us over. We're doing a Premier League preview, having a chat about all the games over the weekend. So follow us over there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.
Cool.